OK, let's bring in Dr. Ravza Kavakci, who is the chair of Turkey's group in the Inter-Parliamentary Union. She's also a Turkish member of Parliament. Very good evening to you. Just first of all, just to explain to everybody at home watching how this new Syrian Constitutional Committee is going to work. What are its main goals?
Of course, the goal of the committee is to establish a constitution that's inclusive for all parties in Syria. You know that the humanitarian crisis in Syria started in 2011 with the massacre of civilians. And Turkey has taken a humanitarian stand from day one, keeping an open door policy. But the issue here is to make sure that no more lives are lost in Syria and Syrian people are able to have a safe and secure land where they can live. They can actually live in peace. And I don't know how that can be possible with the continuation of the Assad regime, but we hope that the Constitutional Committee will come together and make a constitution that's for the Syrian people, that includes all factions of society.
What do you think the immediate impact will be on the conflict in Syria? Because there is still violence there. There are still terrorist groups at large.
Unfortunately, Turkey has been from day one the country who has asked for a safe zone in the area. But for the violence to stop, the terrorist groups such as PKK and ISIS need to be completely eliminated. And Turkey has lived the consequences of having terrorists right at her border. There has been more than 20 attacks and more than 300 people have lost their lives just within the last few months. So it's important to make sure that there are no terrorist activity and to make sure that Syrian people are able to live in peace and security in their own country, and that's what Turkey wants, and that's why Turkey continues to have its humanitarian stand as it hosts more than 3.5 more. It started with a few hundreds of people, hundred thousands of people. Now it hosts more than 5 million Syrian refugees.
Am I right in thinking that the Turkish military forces along the Syrian border, they're only going to be there in a reactive role, i.e. they're not going to take any action unless, say, Kurdish forces go into that safe zone?
Of course, that is the idea. The agreement is that there is a safe zone created in the area that is secure from all terrorist organizations, PKK and ISIS and everything else that exists in that area. And it's very important that Turkey and United States and Turkey and Russia agreed on this. And this is something that shows that Turkey was right in asking for a safe zone from day one. And we hope that this will enable more security, at least in that area around that border, and enable people to take refuge in that area, while the rest of the country also hopefully finds peace soon.
And just turning to the US, the House of Representatives there has just passed a bill threatening to sanction Turkey over its military operation in Syria. And I think the targets would be major Turkish banks. Is that a big concern for Turkey?
That's not a concern, but it is a disappointment, to say the least, that as a NATO ally, as a country that actually protects the borders of NATO, we see that our ally has, instead of working together with Turkey, has chosen to utilize a terrorist group, PKK, as their boots on the ground. But all of these sanctions are not going to do any good for the area, because Turkey is there according to international law in order to protect its borders, its citizens, as well as the people who have taken refuge in Turkey.
Dr. Ravza Kavakci is my guest, member of Turkish Parliament. Pleasure to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good